communities and school districts. The areas that I would point to in recent times, special education is a huge area where multi-districts are collaborating on trying to provide a more efficient and effective way of delivering special education services. And we are in North Reading members of two collaboratives, the SEAM Special Education Collaborative, which basically ranges from North Reading to Winchester and Woburn and Stoneham, to the North Shore Education Collaborative, which ranges from North Reading on basically the western edge all the way to the coast, to Gloucester and Rockport. And together we provide collaborative, regionalized educational, special education services. Utility purchases, another area in which we can get a handle or a better handle on our energy costs through the collaborative buying power of multi-school districts. Certainly the current debate on health insurance. North Reading belongs to the MIAA, MIIA, the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association, and as Mr. Webster indicated, the town is exploring what it needs to do to belong to the state's system, which again will bring effective savings and efficiency. Teacher recruitment, another area in which we collaborate. We have to, because it's getting increasingly difficult to not only attract teachers, because the total available pool of teaching candidates is just falling off, and so we have to work together to secure teachers and recruit them. And also in terms of professional development. We work on a number of collaboratives, both in the region as well as with several universities, University of Mass at Lowell, Salem State, and Endicott. And we've also done collaborative work with Gordon College and Lesley as well. Again, it's that collaboration that in the end will enhance the services in a more effective and efficient way. So that's just kind of my own editorial comment. The last comment I would make is that from my standpoint as superintendent, while I am an educator, I also understand that when you're running, we're running a business as well. Education is a business from the financial standpoint and the efficiency standpoint. And we are required to undergo not only financial audits on a very regular basis done by outside independent agents that have nothing to do with the school department. Those are reported. Those reports are public documents. I would urge anyone who has a question about the financial health of the North Reading Public Schools to get a hold of those audits. And I can assure you that we do that not only to make ourselves more efficient, but to avoid the kind of financial difficulty that I know has been recently reported about another community where that community was discovered the school department was pretty close to $4 million out of compliance. We don't want to be there. We're not going to be there based on good, sound business practices that are being made. All right, let's turn, look a little more on the last two sheets. Carl Nelson talked about the sheet that said budget scenarios, and I would just like to just add a little more to that. The status quo budget basically is the budget that would carry the district forward next year under the same conditions that we currently have. Same number of staff, same teachers, no changes. We have reduced significant curriculum programs in music and art, technology, physical education. We continue to sustain high class sizes in particularly our middle school level and our high school level. We're not able to offer as many electives in our high school that we would like to offer, and we have also decreased the amount of learning time, and that's achieved by reducing the day on Wednesdays at the elementary and middle school. And I would say even at the middle school, despite the fact that we've reduced shortened the day on Wednesday by 2 hours, that we also continue to have most, if not all, of the middle school youngsters are in a study hall at least once, but typically 4, 5, or 6 times a week.
Three times today in the afternoon, where they have the academic intensive, that's
Right.
G block. Since the majority, well, the principal told me yesterday that they found an increasing number of 6th graders have been getting D's and F's. So now that they're turning that academic intensive every other week, they're turning that into a town meeting study hall. So there'll be an additional study hall added now every other week to try to bring those kids, the lower kids, up to try to give them a chance to have some makeup, time for opportunity for test taking and things like that. So now the kids are even getting like an added, every other week they're getting an added study hall. So
It's
2 to
prob-
3. My son
we-
said in study hall, 3
Right.
3 out of 7 periods. I mean, the core academic time is there.
Right. I mean, we're meeting the minimum requirement, but again, I think the point to be made is that we've always been able to do better. However, we're coming up against that wall where when we are spending, and the reality is that's what we have when you're 13th from the bottom in terms of the amount of money that you're spending. And of course, the natural question is, well, where are you spending the money? And of course, again, not to dwell on that letter, you're pointing out, top heavy in terms of administration. Well, in my office, it's Carl, the 2 of us. I did, you can go and look at what's happening in Maine, you can look at their consolidation plan, and they will tell you, build a school district of 2,500 students, and that school district of 2,500 students should have a superintendent and a business manager in the central office. 2 people in payroll and 1.5 secretaries. Guess what? We have 2,800 students, and that's what our central office looks like. So, we can look at other states, and I understand why that's happening in Maine, because there are so many school districts in Maine that are very small, 800 children here, 500 here, as separate and distinct school districts. Bringing them together in a larger area, it obviously makes sense. In any event, that's what the status quo budget is. It'll just provide what we have this year, next year. The last 2 columns, it's been suggested we should probably merge these together. I was asked to identify what would it cost to put everything back together the way it was last year. Put back the art, put back the music, open the libraries in the elementary schools 5 days a week instead of closing them for 2. Open the computer labs in the elementary schools 5 days a week instead of 2. Put back phys ed, put back everything that we took out. Get rid of the Wednesday afternoons, put the time back. That's what that restoration budget does. The final column, which again, the other 2 forms, the feedback that we received said that you shouldn't refer to that or label it as improved quality. You should label it as need. For example, the reading and literacy teachers. Reading and literacy is at the heart of what you do in schools. This is direct service to children. I know, and anyone who's working in schools knows, that if you hit on and focus on the literacy at an early age, that you are going to decrease the opportunity for students who may be involved later in terms of special education. So we're looking for reading and literacy teachers. Another large area is in the area of class size. When you're running classes at any level, let's now focus at the secondary level of 28, 30, 32 students, the level of productivity is going to decrease. The comment here about our 6th graders, our middle school youngsters having more difficulty, it's Absolutely true. I mean, this is an output of eventually what happens when you're not providing the appropriate staffing level. And so while this number is relatively high, it addresses class size issues at the secondary level. And there is one that we feel will probably be needed at the elementary level, because the incoming first grade class, our kindergarten class now this year, is higher than what we anticipated it. And right now, we have not budgeted for an additional teacher to come into that first grade. So that is the reason for that. I've listed out on that third page some detailed information about reconstructing the schools and the needs. And if you look at this, you'll see a number that is written. For example, if you go down to technology, library, and media, it should say 3?
Yeah, it says
You're okay. It should say 3 there. What that means is that there is a need to restore up to 3 positions. What are they? Middle school librarian, because we have no librarian in the middle school at this point. We are using an aide to run that, to manage that facility. However, what has happened by removing the professionally certified librarian, we do not qualify to participate in the New England Library Consortium. Now, here's an example of how we're trying to collaborate and regionalize, but if we don't provide that level of service within our school, then we don't get access to it. And so what do we lose? What do students lose? They lose access to the very wide range of databases that are accessible free through that consortium. So if I'm a social studies teacher in the middle school and I'm bringing my class to the library to use to have access to information on the internet to do a project in my social studies class, today we don't want our students going to the Encyclopedia Britannica, because all of this information and considerable information is available online, and we no longer have access to it. So we're looking for a media librarian, media specialist at the middle school. We feel that's important to reconstruct. We're looking to rehire an aide so that we can open all of our elementary libraries 5 days a week. We reduced one last summer, and so the 2 aides are servicing 3 libraries in 3 schools. And so it's just a matter of when can you have that person there to open the library. Yes, we certainly count on parent volunteers, but we can't bring parent volunteers in to open the library and then to hold them accountable for running that program. Same thing with the computer lab. We have reduced a computer lab paraprofessional, so our computer labs are also closed twice a week. And then the other, under this one category, we also eliminated last year a technology specialist. We have over 800 computers in this district, 200 staff members who are teaching 2,800 students. We think it's critical to have someone who is responsible for that technology. Not just the technology when the printer breaks, but someone who is taking the software, working with the teachers to deliver resources for students. We lost that position last year. So you see the number 3. Any one of these positions has a number beside it. We're going to have you play a little game. Mr. Webster called it bingo. I don't like to call it bingo because that sounds like you're going to win a prize at the end. But what we're going to give you is a little sticky dot, and you're going to get 20 of them. And each of these little dots, Mr. Nelson, do you have the dots?
Yes, I do.
Okay.